Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
So I had a question, Mark. Was this to be the last Sunday Telegram meeting?
Why would you say that?
Well, no, I just mentioned because what I believe is that the last Knowledge Seekers broadcast on Thursday will be this Thursday for about 3
At
months
7 p.m.
But then after that, there
CET.
won't be any scheduled ones.
Oh, I'm sure the Knowledge Seekers workshops will go on. He's just going to be doing it from a remote location and not from a studio. I could be wrong. But as far
But
as I know.
but the Sunday meeting will continue.
Oh, definitely. Yes. this is-
Everything new.
Yes.
Nothing changes.
Right.
Good evening, morning. Everything will continue just this Thursday. Instead of 9 o'clock is 7 o'clock in the evening. Nothing changes. The teaching of God doesn't stop just because of one session. We never stop. It's just this week. We always move things that at least it fits to be on a Thursday. And just this week, for a special reason, it's 7 o'clock. The following week, we'll go back on the 9 and we'll go for eternity. As long as there is a breath within this body, we'll teach.
So let's see the difference between the facing the sun teaching and the back of the sun teaching.
Yeah. We used to do 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, original teachings. The original, when we started with Rick, we used to start 5 o'clock Central European time, and then gradually we pushed it to 9. I used to get up 4 o'clock to be ready for 5 o'clock teaching. Nothing will change. We carry on with the teaching the same way.
Yeah, just like in the airport or wherever you've done them before.
Yep, never stops.
Oh, because the video didn't seem to be specific. I thought maybe you were taking a break from, because you were going to go back into the lab and be focused on that for a couple months.
No, it just carries on. Just this week, after this Thursday, the routine of being always in the studio, we don't want to keep, because it's gradually time for other things to come up. Now, as you know, the Keshe TV has actually started from 21st to go up, which is now you can actually, I think, watch a series of teachings which are getting loaded every week now. And now the TV is on, then each group has to create their own program, weekly program, and additional programs which they bring in, and it'll be added as interviews and the rest. And then the whole program will switch into a bigger structure which is getting sorted in Iran. The Keshe Foundation team now has expert programmers full-time working for the Keshe Foundation and writing a new program that the Keshe Foundation become a worldwide operation. We are writing a new program from the ground up. It'll take us a few more months, but with thanks to the Governor of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran and the Sepah and all the expertise within the University of Iran have been brought together to write a new program for the whole of education and the whole structure of the Keshe Foundation. All our programs have started. You will see gradually everything is written up for an international organization. And all the other television programs are getting licensed even in Iran with the permission of the Iran Central Television that we broadcast from Iran directly in teachings. It's all moving very smoothly. Tehran office now is manned by a number of experts within Iran, what they call programming elites have been brought in, and they're writing a program from base. And the television will go the same way. The structure is for a what we call international organization centralized in Iran. Teaching free and everything else go with it will be free through the same process. At the moment, we are using a mixture of different programs from all over the world. And IT has this problem. We are paying huge amount of money for using different servers. Different people have come in over years, added different bits into it, migrating from one to another service, and all that is coming to an end in a very short time. All be centralized in Iran totally with the new program, and you can literally all the websites of the Keshe Foundation worldwide in most of the languages, up to 40 languages, will be exactly the same. You change one word in one page, every other page will do the same. The wiki is going the same. The whole process is on the move. This pieces and pieces as the Keshe Foundation has been put together over years is coming to an end very shortly. And will stay the same. The teaching will never change.
Can you teach us how you solved hay fever?
Ding dong.
In less than a minute.
Oh, it just took me a few seconds.
I know, but
I know what to do. It's just I'm too lazy to do it. Or I don't really mind. Everything has a solution. We understand the totality. I've suffered with this for years. It's gone. It's not there.
well, I mean, can you explain to us the knowledge that you have that led you to the solution and how you connected the dots to make it happen?
It's just not connecting the dots. I knew for years what to do. I just don't want to do it. I can stay young as you, as young as 18 forever. What's the purpose? You learn. The process you go through, you learn. When it's needed, we do things. It took me less than a minute to make a right mixture, and that's it, it stopped. You can stop everything. You can change, but you have to allow the course of time to take to learn from it. This is what I always say. to the knowledge seekers who do a lot of research with me. I said, well, so this is the time. You can't say everything is just I have to say, and you do. You see what it comes, you put your things into it, your knowledge, your effort, and we'll see what you learn from it.
Well, that's in a way that I was trying to perpetuate the conversation about the vaccines, where, you know,
Do you want me to speak about the vaccine and get it blanked out like last time by YouTube? Apparently.
Oh no, it was just a discussion about the solution for vaccine people that took the vaccines. If that's not what they,
there is no. The point is not a solution for the vaccine. Now we see in past few days, now the Indian vaccine, corona has come in. New sanctions and new restrictions. Next week will be another Chinese cycle, and then another. This is a forever lasting income for people who make it up. The vaccine is not a solution. Understanding of the virus and how to handle it is a solution. It's but it's very strange how, if you look at the European governments, they're all coming May and June, everything's going back to normal. From next week, everything in Europe from 15th of May, some in 19th of May, some in June, they start. Everything as nothing happened. You have a COVID positive, you can go to the restaurants. There used to be, you have to go and get a test to go to do a haircut, to go to do a test, to go to whatever. From next week, the restaurant owner puts a pot there, tests you, you are positive, you sit. I wonder how many people will be negative. And what do you do when somebody is negative? As I was with a Chinese doctor last week, and he said, do you know what they brought in China? Now they tested in China and Japan from the back passage. You don't need even to have worry about damaging your brain. Now they planted you from inside. And there is no, this thing will not change. We have a condition of energy transfer, but now we understand the condition of energy transfer, whether we call it a virus. But where is the vaccine for the Indian flu? And where is the vaccine for the English flu? Where is the vaccine for African flu? How many more vaccines are we going to take? And why there is a necessity for all these vaccines to be done twice and everything else? There is a need for a bigger understanding of total condition with this. Airports are closed. Communication, tourism has gone. Catering and hospitality has gone. And technological section, especially military, has gone. Everything, where it's going to go, all these jobs going to be created, where and how. If you go to Amazon, we put the union report on Amazon, and the launch of the Keshe Nation book starts from this week with the hand of a promoting group through all the major booksellers around the world. You will see it coming up. It started from last Wednesday. It's going to go fully up from tomorrow. As we start spreading the knowledge very deep right across. The job is in your hand. You are the knowledge seekers. You are the ones, and the television now is registered. As we informed the representative, it took us, usually we could register a company in a week. It's taken nearly 8 weeks to register a company. Every possible obstruction or legal term they could find, they put in front of the establishment of the Keshe Foundation TV company. Now it's completed. Took 8 weeks. And now the representative of the TV and all the groups can work with the press pass. And to be able to spread the knowledge and bring the scientists to understand. From now on, we're giving you every tool to be able to spread the knowledge by the knowledge seekers. It's in your hand. I've done everything possible. All the companies, all the structures where it is set up. The research is set up. The enhancement units now are under construction with new technologies, which we'll see hopefully be released in the coming weeks. We've gone into production. And the new transmutation system, the new transportation. Hopefully within the next few months, we deliver the systems which can deliver, as we said, the soul of the man, that the mothers cannot go through the process of the pain after giving birth. Everything is getting done. It's just expanding on the research. What do you call it? We are moving the exhibition to a permanent place, hopefully near Vienna, because Linz is too far for many people to come and go, and the rest of it is too laborious. Now that the, what do you call, the Corona bans are moving out, and hopefully we're going back to normality with the tourism and everything else. We are moving the Keshe Foundation exhibition and the production factories and the television center somewhere near Vienna in the next few days or a couple of weeks, and allows us to be internationally open again and work the way we want to. We are reacting to the conditions as they change. And very soon we'll see a lot of major operations of the Keshe Foundation will be centralized in certain capitals of us as we choose, like Arizona, Mexico, Brazil, Austria. London will become one of our major points very soon in the coming weeks. You got Tehran, you got Beijing, and concentration will go on to Nigeria and what we call Kenya and Australia. And then we back up into this. We start financing into this program totally different than before. Chinese Keshe Foundation has now become a multi-million organization registered and completed by the Chinese government. We start financing Mark Ray, subsidiary of the what we call Mexico, to come up into and start for the first time creating finance to develop the center. Many of you tried to support and bought shares of Mark Ray. Now, as a head of the Mark Ray, as a chief executive, we now say we have started investing, and the investment has started, and the company will start creating finance by production in the next few days. Within a week, hopefully, in a different way, and we start pushing right across America. I've done everything that you have a solid ground, the rest of it is in your hand, how you do it. It's a vertical structure, you design it, you can manufacture it, you can retail it, you can teach it, you can spread it, you can teach it on the television, you have the internet. Keshe Foundation is well established vertical structure, it's all in your hand. And I have a step there, but it's your knowledge seekers, just not the old, but the new. But Keshe Foundation is a scientific organization, not a charity or somewhere. We only teach science and technology. Nobody can claim it. And nobody can be the head of the Keshe Foundation unless you are part of the bringing knowledge. So a lot of you have a lot of people you teach on other things. Everything is done for it. You have your own research centers, manufacturing, distribution, retail group, television, everything is there. I'm only one man. The rest of you have to take corners of it and do it. Everything, if you sit back, there's no organization like Keshe Foundation owning his own technology, teaching his own technology, manufacturing his own technology, retailing his own technology from A to Z. And now you have your own television now running. We told you exactly 1 month from the time we started the opening. We'll go full now. The programs are loaded from 21st. There is a request by to open a radio channel for it, which at the moment we don't see such a purpose for it. You'll have your own health centers. It just needs to, and we are sustaining it for months in, months out. And we have a new financiers, which is us, not nobody else. You can't stop teaching. You can't stop spreading the knowledge and add to it and see what happens. The only thing is we don't do any more blueprints that you can copy and run with it. That process of blueprinting, blueprint days and that, it's all gone because it was abused. In the next few weeks, you will see a lot of people who said any product like us will not be there. We have started processing, cleaning up everything. I've done everything from A to Z. Now you have to put in the alphabets and the connections to make the words and sentences. And as I said, it's the third time I've done this in my business life. I'm a vertical man. Everything has to be in the house. And you have everything in the house. From knowledge to the technology to manufacturing it to selling it. What else you can do? The only thing is left for you lot to open shop in the moon and the Mars. I have a step down from everything except teaching, and that teaching will carry on. Because I didn't come here to own properties because they're worth nothing and own factories because they're worth nothing. We have no property sale offices in the universe, and we have no factories in the universe to mass produce. Otherwise, people from other planets would have been exporting better than the Chinese onto Earth.
Well, Mr. Keshe, the reason I asked the question, it was just trying to get a better understanding of where allergy falls into the overall understanding, if it's like
I will
asthma.
not tell you. I will not tell you. You're not getting this one. Find a way. You know, have all the knowledge. I'm a knowledge seeker like you a lot. When I need it, I seek the knowledge, and it's all in the books. Everything is there. We are planning. We think it's going to go through. Hopefully, you will see it and hear it. But I told you months ago, we put 3 coma people in one hospital in the next few days. And world televisions will broadcast it while we bring the 3 back to life. Next few weeks, everything is on the run. We want to show the power of the technology, and Keshe Foundation Television will be the source. And the program, if we get it, we want half an hour every day, and national TV and the Keshe Foundation TV will show the progress in 3 coma patients. And if we can bring 3 dead people back to life, then you can do everything else with the body. But you have to carry the knowledge. And one of the agreements is I will not be present, that I cannot do any magic. The team of doctors will operate only on instructions, and the Keshe Foundation team will provide all the system, the answers, and the processes needed, and the doctors will do the job. And I will not be anywhere near the whole process. They have given us the first body, we are waiting for 2 more. Then that brings a new dimension to Keshe Foundation TV. We are working on it. Hopefully it'll be done in the next few days, few weeks, and then you will see it. You know, like the episode used to be like Dallas. Now people around the world come on Keshe Foundation to see how come out dead people arise. The only thing is we don't give the recipe of the system and the mixtures we use. And it won't be the way Giovanni did, because I taught Giovanni a different way. That's a hard way.
Where can we
As I
find
said to
where
them,
can we find the TV guide then?
what do you mean?
Like will the Keshe Foundation have a guide where you can see what's going to be, you know, like a TV guide where you know ahead of
It
time
should be
what?
on the screen. We asked, it's getting done.
Okay.
It'll be on the television channel. Which language, which day is getting done. Now we have more or less 3 full-time people on the television, plus all the teams you have behind. Dean is now a full-time on editing in the studio. Marius has taken the whole structure in hand with the television channel. And Neil is orchestrating everything in the back. 3 people are full-time on it. And now we expand the numbers. Now the company is set up gradually. We expand the numbers across the world. But part of it is when you go on the screen, you should be able to see the timetable, which language, what time, when, and gradually building it up. There is one thing which I think a lot of you have noticed is that we are making a television from zero experience by many of us. And at the same time, the company which has given us the platform themselves are learning and building up this station together with us. And our target is to long term, as we said to them from day one, is to take over the whole station, the whole television structure as partnership. We went in to learn to be, and we told them from day one, we expect to be the owners, major shareholders in this television as a structure, not just the Keshe Foundation side. So in next year or two, as the Keshe Foundation builds up the studios and builds up the programming, we're looking to be major partners in this, the whole structure of the television structure. But we're learning when we go forward, and the plan is always there.
Sorry if I keep going back to the hay fever. I guess I just wanted to see if it was, if the vertical people are responsible for what causes allergy. Is it an interaction with the soul of the
No,
man?
if it
or-
comes from the cat, you can get allergic to your husband, you can get allergic to your wife. Some people get allergic when they're pregnant to their husband, and some people get allergic to a mouse dust and mouse hair. You get allergic to the feather of the birds. Allergies are in different ways. It's not to do with the vertical. Some of it to do with more horizontal people than the vertical ones.
Is it psychosomatic?
Partially yes. Partially yes, partially is field interaction. It's what we want to accept. And how we want to accept it, and how, when you sort out the psychological part, how do you repair the physical side that the somatic is complete? It has to be dual.
Can you use it to feed yourself eventually if you could solve it?
What do you mean?
Well, if it's in a way energy based, can you use it to feed yourself? Or in an atmosphere where you're in a, perhaps on a planet where you're allergic to everything, where you could, use it as a benefit, not as a detriment?
Depends. Depends how you see it. I can teach you in 1 minute that you never touch anything to eat. As I said, I came here to enjoy the physicality, and part of the physicality is the food and the pleasure of different pleasures of it. But in essence, it takes you 1 minute to be able not to eat again. Have you ever seen people, they talk about all these aliens coming? Have you seen them having a party and having orgies of food on the table? We talk about a lot of people, the aliens and the rest, but has everybody seen them eating anything? It's like to a point and then blank, we have nothing to follow. The aliens are in the sky, we've seen them on the ground, and there is no, how come we always only see them in the sky? What's their process on the earth? How do they come? Do they bring food with them? Or is there a catering unit sitting in a UFO for sending food down for them because they can't eat our food? We have the capability in our, the strength of our soul to do everything. It's us who's chosen to blank it out. become, as I said, a bunch of ADHD people. We run around this planet and we consume everything to get attention from everything. For what reason? Nobody knows. It's just a way to spend time. I think humanity has got bored of having this such a small village. So now when you give them a bigger place, they'll be busy with it, and this ADHD and destroying everything will go. We are on the verge of a huge change. And as I said, to knowledge seekers even very recently, will not come by being sitting under, it will come by taking leadership and leading from the front. And that position, now that we have made the basis ready for it, will gradually start. You will see very, very slowly. We start leading from right the front at the top. And I say we, just all the knowledge seekers. You got to realize something very simple. If I have the knowledge to bring a coma dead person to life, a hay fever is actually nothing. It's just a toy.
That's what you indicated about this virus that we're going through. It was just child's play for someone who carries the knowledge that you carry.
We have a huge problem. You will see it after the 18th of June. Most of the blockages for the virus will open up. Once we start teaching directly from Tehran, people will follow.
So the cup will be one of the first teachings, the cup of life, internationally.
We have done that, and it'll be did. It's just not the cup; it's the knowledge of what that cup does. One of the leading governments in the world has made our cup, and in a different way, and they have given it to a Nobel Prize winner to confirm its correct capability. And it has been confirmed it works and is correct by the institute. Now we are trying to get them to put it in writing. One of the Nobel Prize winners in virus and chemistry has spent 3 months validating the Keshe Foundation technology. And they have confirmed it is correct and it works. And we've been told by the officials from the government in the past 10 days.
So when the new school teaching starts, will we all go back to school again or continue with the education in that manner?
Our education on Thursdays will carry on. It's just that you have millions of people who are coming up and they learn different ways and different meanings and what to do with it, how to apply the technology. Nothing changes. The fundamental teaching stays the same. We were laughing a couple of weeks ago. There was a shortage of caustic in Europe. You could not buy any caustic for past 4 or 5 weeks around Europe. There was a huge shortage. And as I said to the knowledge seekers around us, that now it shows how big Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers group are. They're buying all the caustics. It's unprecedented. We had to wait 5 weeks to get access to be able to buy supply for our research centers. And it came because you knowledge seekers are buying too much caustics. So what's the next step?
The copper. But we could make it with the materials.
You done
enhancements
that.
in it.
You bought so much copper making these things, the
Yeah.
copper prices gone through the roof now.
Yeah.
Whatever you lot touch, the prices goes up or it becomes shortage. Something is working somewhere, or somebody making a stockpile of things. The copper now costs us twice as much as about a year ago, year and a half. You lot are making too many ganses.
Can you give us an idea of the new living structures? I know you said at one point in man's future vision that the people would be giving away their houses for others to live in. What is the new, I would assume it's magnetical gravitational fields, like a tent of some sort that protects you and probably maybe even feeds you. And these things are totally portable that you can take anywhere. You wouldn't even have to stay in a hotel per se. Can you give us a
There is
vision?
a news out from the American side in past few days revealing that the new weapon technology, which is launched by Iran, carries a magnetic field shielding around the rocket. That's why they cannot be detected. We confirm that. And this is part of the Keshe Foundation technology. We use the same process for travel to moon and beyond as part of the technology. And at the same time, you can create dynamic fields that you do not need to be or need to live within the physical structures we make. You cannot buy land on the moon or Mars or on this other planetary systems in the universe. There is no state agent, nobody sells you land. Land has only value by man because we primarily were connected with the land and the water. Where there was water, proximity of its availability put a price on the land. And then it brought more and more people. You look at the European cities, right across Danube, how many cities? Without it, you can't live. Now you have access to a knowledge that you can produce energies which can transfer to your body to be the energy of the water as you need. So you have become independent. And I wrote to the Japanese and the Americans some 12 years ago. The real estates in Tokyo and the rest were worth nothing. These buildings will be empty and they crumble down because nobody wants to live. But it has to bring a social structure change. A lot of things in the next 5 years, 10 years will change. Now we learn we can work from home. We don't need to in one places. All the banks, bank offices, everything else now is centralized. People don't need to be. Money is becoming irrelevant. You don't carry any more notes. If you can load digits on your computer, is your wealth on your bank account. We still have a mentality of the old way. We bring to the new. We call it mining. We are doing cryptocurrency by mining because we still have to have that. To us, you have to dig something out to own. What about if you raise your hand to the creator and come through your fingers? Are you digging to the universe energy? Or shall we start the first space coin system? We don't mind, see how much energy we can absorb from the universe and sell. So the technology will take over very gradually, but very rapid in the coming time. As I said, the knowledge we have, we see all your telephones in the next 5 years will be obsolete. You remember we used to be landline connected, then we became satellite connected. Maybe in the next few months, you'll become totally no satellite connection, no, you don't need a provider anymore. As part of the development of the enhancement unit is this process. We don't see anyone needing a mobile phone connected to pay these colossal telephone bills anymore. We have the technology. We don't see any need for this 5,000, 3,000, 10,000 air flights in the coming very near future. There's a change is coming and we cannot stop, and that's why we have a structure. We have joined a government to bring the change. In a very short time, in maybe maximum a year, 2 years, you throw your mobile phones away, or you keep your mobile phones with all the data on it, but you don't need a provider anymore. Because you can connect to anywhere directly on your mobile. It's just data you keep in there. We can do the same with feeding. I was testing one of these systems of feeding in the last few days in the lab. We measure the energy we put in, and we monitor what energy comes through the body on the other side. But we see what is absorbed.
Do you remember, Mr. Keshe, this balls, what you speak about when you was in Italy? You have in the stock about 5,000 or more.
What do you mean?
In the old the old teaching, in the ancient teaching, you brought up a small balls with as a feeders, energy feeders.
We now develop this one in a very beautiful way. It's the process of, we need the agreement of the government to the world peace before we release these technologies. We need it. Otherwise, it'll be absolute mayhem. And for that reason, I accepted the position to be able to do this. You will hear in a very short time.
You are teasing us, Mr. Keshe. Every week, you will say you will hear it, will hear it.
No, because it takes time. It's the way it is. You got to realize a lot of governments don't like us to what we are doing. You usually takes, in England, one day you can set a company up. It's taken us 8 weeks to set 2 companies up, the TV and the sale. From June you will see the Keshe Foundation is a split. You don't buy on the Keshe Foundation website anymore the products. You'll buy from the Keshe Foundation sale, which is a new organization. It's separated from the Keshe Foundation altogether as a company. So that sales brings everything you buy from now on, from the enhancement unit to the pots or everything will go through one organization throughout the world. It doesn't matter if you're Brazil or Mexico or in China. So we are structuring everything in the background to come, and it's taken us weeks and weeks to do, because we are setting companies which are opposite to a lot of rules and regulations, and the governments have to agree with it to be done. The reason Keshe Foundation has taken time to take shape the new companies is that the agreement has to be made with the government and the finance section of the governments and everything else to structure a new way to own and run companies in Keshe Foundation. And we have achieved it. Now we're going to the next step to be done. And then we can do a lot of other things gradually. You got to realize Keshe Foundation stands more or less on its own. Now we have attracted the support of two major governments who are supporting us, but they are holding things back for us to structure. One is the Iranian government, what they call it, leadership, and one is the Chinese leadership. Now we have received unconditional support from the both governments, both what they call it, leaderships. And it's taken a long time and it's still going through it. And the first nations of the Sebrew have come to an agreement. When I said the Sebrew 2 years ago, everybody was just thought is a thought. Now, the first two nations of the Sebrew are taking shape within it, then we bring the others. And in the next few days, I'll be traveling to one of the major European countries and due to meet with the defense, heads of defense and the military to see what we can change to bring what we left out as part of the Sebrew. Sebrew has started now. They're building its first center, and it's one of the most, I was told today that it's one of the most sophisticated scientific research space centers. It's already been done. I'll take the office position in the next few weeks. We are not waiting to build. The Keshe Foundation Space Center has already been completed, or we've been told it's done and is ready. But we need to wait a few weeks.
Mr. Keshe, are you joining us tomorrow for the orientation on new term?
Why? What should I do? I'm a knowledge seeker. I've never paid my fees, so how do you expect me to come in?
I think it would be appreciated if you can find the
I'm
time.
traveling tomorrow. We are traveling because, as I said, we are moving the exhibition center of the Keshe Foundation and the factory into Vienna in the next few weeks. So I'll be in Vienna next 2-3 days, or at least next 2 days, or 1 day, 2 days to complete this job. I'll try to, but don't know yet.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Keshe, when the world leaders sign the World Peace Treaty, will it be just the one-page document, or will it be like 50 or 100?
It's
and very
like
elaborate?
everyone It will be like everyone we have signed. The first world leader will sign the World Peace Treaty of the Keshe Foundation will be in the next few weeks His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran. Iran will sign itself to peace unconditionally, and that's by the request of the Keshe Foundation. His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran will sign the first signatory to the world peace. And we'll see what other leaders will commit themselves to it.
When you say a new political structure is taking over in Iran, have they already had elections or?
The election is on the 18th
Okay,
of June. And immediately after 18th of June, I'll be returning to Iran.
I heard the Sabak was very busy going to different people's offices and things, gathering some information or documents. The Sabak in Iran,
Who's
Did-
Sabak?
I thought that was the
You mean the Sabah?
Sabak.
Sabah is a force within the nation.
Right, under the religion control.
No, they are defender of the nation. They always have taken the color of the leadership, but we have a problem, which is a corrupt present government. The present Iranian government is corrupt. The brother of the Iran leader has been arrested for corruption while the brother is in office, I've been told. There is a big scandal, which is the head of the parliament. I've been told is massively under investigation. The problem in Iran is that we have a structure which the government is kept away from the leadership, where leadership has access to change the government, but they kept the position in a way of government does not get interfered with, and we have a corrupt government, massively corrupt government. On the 18th of June, when the new government takes over, is taking over with hundreds of billions of debts, which we didn't have before 8 years ago. There is a lot of, at the moment in Iran parliament, every senator of the parliament has signed the treaty or law to arrest the president on the day he comes off the table. It's in the parliament. Not a single member of parliament has objected to it. But by international law, other governments only recognize the elected government. So we have to wait. We are on 3rd of May, 2nd of May. We have 50 days to wait. And then the new government will be sworn in. And we go back to the normalities of running without, hopefully, not that much corruption. And the funniest thing is that majority of this cabinet are American educated. We have more American educated and doctors in the Iranian cabinet than President Trump had in his. They all sold their soul to the America. They all carry 2 passports. As I said to the Iranian leadership, 46 years out of Iran, I never changed my passport. I always kept, even keeping away from the time of revolution, I have never accepted the outside passport. But our present leaders all carry 2 passports. I'm one of the very few Iranians who has never changed his nationality. 46 years being out of the country. For us, the return to Iran is the key to the world peace and establishment of the world order government. When Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran signs a peace treaty confirming Iran is a peaceful nation, then you will see the change. I wonder if Trump or Biden or other world leaders will sign the same. This is what we already announced, and it's one of the conditions of my return to Iran is the signing of peace treaty by Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, committing Iran to peace with a new technology.
So many people will be less emotionally distressed across this planet once all these changes start to manifest themselves. Where they're going to work, or where they're going to live, or how they're going to eat, or how they're going to get water, food, energy, and all this. It seems like the emotions of the entire planet will start to be balanced.
I think it's changing the principle, not the emotion. It's the responsibility of every government to make sure water, food, and home is free to every citizen. And that's the order which Keshe Foundation will bring in. We don't give it to bring a lazy people in. With the technology, we make it available that you don't need to depend on it. And it's very simple. If you can develop a system like a small reactor that you can put in the middle of the desert, it gives you a dome to live in. Within it, you create the energy that you need as a food or as a medicine. And in a way, it provides what you need, which water is part of it. This is the next generation. And the processors come in. We don't come and give money. We provide a system that allows the process to take shape. And all that process sits within your maggraph system. Nothing else. What I taught you from the maggraph system, it'll create exactly the same thing. No more, no less. Then how long does it take for every government, every nation to produce so many systems for its citizens? You remember those old days, you had these paraffin lights, you used to hold it, and you had a glass push up, and then you turn the filter on and you put a glass on and you had the light. Maggraph system should be like this.
Killy lamp.
Exactly. And if you go to the blueprint day of the maggraph, it's in those 5 days teaching, I've shown you what to do. Nobody has seen it. It's nothing new to come up, it's there. Nothing new. It's been taught 7 years ago, 5 years, 6 years ago.
can we at least get the auto transcripts for those? Because I like the timings on it.
Which one?
The MAGRAV teachings.
I don't know. Ask the teaching group. Where is
Because
it?
that's
It's
one
in-
of the things which is missing.
What, the blueprint of the MAGRAPH?
Yes. The only day I think it was the first day somebody did something and put it out in little segments. And I picked that up.
Ooh.
And after that, I've got a big gap.
All the blueprint days are all fully out.
Not with an auto transcript.
I don't know about that one.
I do keep asking for these things, but I can try
Yeah,
asking again.
it's all there.
Well, I'm sure you said it, Mr. Keshe, but sometimes when you're trying to gather the knowledge, it's very, very difficult putting all the pieces
Oh.
together.
Yeah, it takes me thousands of years. You want to have one night.
I don't have that long, Mr. Keshe.
You never know if you can live with your soul, you have thousands of years. Ah, exactly. You never know. But in any way, we'll see how, and that's what we asked for quite some time, for transcribing everything. Now with the system set up, we'll see how we go.
So you're saying that in the future, with the teachings coming up, all of this will be provided?
It'll be translated in 40 languages instantaneously, transcribed, hopefully. It is one of the biggest projects undertaken by the team of computer programmers. We started with 2, now it's 6 of them. I'm sure in the next few weeks they'll turn to 20, 30. And it's all in, it's part of the Keshe Foundation structure in Tehran. The full-time teams brought in to do its job. Everything is getting prepared that when we return to Iran, the Keshe Foundation becomes, as it is now in Iran, automatically a structure entirely in a space development.
I look forward to seeing what comes out, Mr. Keshe.
I know what comes out because I'm working on it. Even the new center is getting built. Even the new center is all gifted to us by the Iranian leadership. Keshe Foundation team have been to the new site 2-3 days ago. It's getting developed, it's getting set up. And it's all paid by the nation. It's not paid by the Keshe Foundation. It's paid by the Iranian nation leadership for the Keshe Foundation.
Good. Well, I hope that the knowledge seekers who are true will get invites there in the future.
We'll see. The structure is getting set up. We will release the pictures of the center. And the office now is more or less to its capacity in Tehran. And we'll extend more the number of people in there, and even the tomorrow, maybe in next week, 2 weeks, Keshe Foundation will show the first mass, application of the Keshe Foundation technology in Iran. Tomorrow, hopefully, or the day after, the members of the Iranian leadership group and the Keshe Foundation are going to an orphanage, which we explained before, with 100 orphans. We moved in March of last year because of the corona, and we kept at it, and we changed the life of 100 children. In Iran, with a massive corona going in this center, as they have had not a single corona, and all the children, babies have mentally changed. And it's going, the members of the Iranian leadership are going with the Keshe Foundation in the next 48 hours directly to see, has become part of the major programs for Iran and for all the mental institutes around the world. And this will be videoed and showed by the same as they showed you the Mitra. They show how Keshe Foundation has changed 100 mentally handicapped children's life in the past 12 months.
I look forward to seeing that. Thank you, Mr.
It'll be
Keshe.
recorded. Yeah, it'll be recorded by the Keshe Foundation team. And once it's edited, it will be released internationally. We're not talking about one case. We're talking 100 children mentally from more or less the first week of birth till 18 years old.
Freed says in the chat, so beautiful, I get tears. I feel the same way, Freed. It's how will mankind think they would repay you in a way if they think they have to? Or would it just be serving everyone? Would that be the key as you've served humanity?
What do you mean by pay?
Well, repay, let's say, by feeling that they owe something that they've gotten this technology for. What would be?
You just got to teach and develop. We got nothing else to do. The financial resources have no value. You can't take a suitcase of dollars into space and pay to the Martian, has no meaning. So the only thing is left, we just got to teach and spread the knowledge unconditionally. And that's what we do. The strangest thing is, the more we teach, there is more to teach. And it needs concentration of the government on accepting the new technology and back it without expectation for financial gain. You got to look at something which I explained to a world leader, which we are setting up to become a world leader in 2023. He is one of our closest allies, and we expect him to become a leader of a nation. I was speaking to him very recently. And if you look at it, these companies or armies which develop military hardware to kill or whatever, where does the money come from? And where does the money of the sales or use of these systems go to? It's the same. Do we have to get money for what everything to do, or governments will do it and give it to the nation to do it? There is a wrong expectation that people become greedy and they want. People have to be taught how to live the way it should be. And this is what is missing as part of the education by the government to the nationals. And people always respond back the same way. You don't need to pay. It's monetizing everything which has brought us to where we are. Accessibility, with the basic essentials will change people, and it will bring different expectations. And we got to lead, because the knowledge is the knowledge of creator, not the man. Not this time. Man knowledge has brought you to burning fuel, and you can't even get out of this planet. If you look at it, man, the minute goes out to go to Mars, then it depends on the fuel of the creator. Slingshot effects, using magnetic field of one planet to pull and push itself to a position, and getting up the energies from the solar system to charge something that they can run the motors when they get there or when they get there. So limitation of the man knowledge is just about 20 kilometers above this atmosphere. You go up, you want to go, you rely on a pull of the moon and the slingshot effect of the one thing or the other to push yourself further. So now we got to learn the rest of it to come back in. And how we organize it.
Are we sure that there weren't technologies in the past and even today that are being used that we are not generally aware of from the time of the
Of course.
Nazis?
Beyond Nazis.
I know beyond
There
Nazis.
are
but
knowledges here from time of Persian Empire and the Roman Empire and the pharaohs.
Also, I understand there were UFO sightings during those times. There is a book somewhere on this.
This never stopped.
Somebody quoted it in a program that I was in, but I didn't catch the name of the book fully.
The
James,
sacred books
excuse me.
in India talk about the Vimanas. Those are the ships also.
We have it in the caves in central France, painted on the wall from thousands of years ago. The cavemen have drawn UFOs on the wall of the caves. Man never been alone. Or is man one of the aliens left behind and created this?
You got some cough, Mr. Keshe.
Yes.
I was just joking.
Yeah, I gather that.
I have explained it in a very nice way, in a very gentle way before. And one day, if you go in this in the teaching recorded somewhere, always remember the story of the cup and the orange. And you say the man came from Central Africa, where there was a place where everything was in the cup, needed. So where was the orange that was copied in that water? I think you understand exactly what I'm talking about.
I seem to recall that teaching. And it's a
Yes,
couple
and
of years back, 3 years back.
exactly the same as I repeated now. If you didn't understand it then, you might, some of you understand now. If you have a cup and you have the right gas fields in it, and you put the orange outside, you get the taste of the feeling of the and everything else of the orange in it. So, in a point in Africa, you have a right saltwater reservoir, and where is the orange? Or Where was the man who has copied his essence in it? Did an alien stood outside the reservoir and his soul was transformed and his physicality into the water and the physicality of the man?
Mr. Keshe.
Yep.
Hi, this is James Eenstra. I was curious, the soul feeds, and whenever you communicate, you can let loose of those feedings, which is the magrat fields. Whenever you have a pain, you have an unbalanced field. Can you feed those unbalanced pain fields and alleviate the pain?
What do you mean?
Well, whenever the soul feeds, it's feeding from gravitational magnetic fields. Okay, you should be able to release those fields as you're giving to another. Can you project those fields into a painful nerve and balance those fields and eliminate the pain?
Man, you used to do that. We have within, I've taught this before, we had within our structure, we still have within our body, that we can amputate part of our body if we wish to, and regrow it.
Mm-hmm.
If, for example, your arm gets trapped under a stone, there is a part of the energy within the structure of the man which allows you to literally cut your arm off, or allow the tissues to become magnetical and separate from each other at that point. We can do it. We understand how to do it.
How do we relearn those techniques?
Yeah, we don't need to relearn it. We do it every day like our skin. How do we shed our skin?
Yeah.
You understand?
Uh-huh.
It's just how does a snake changes the whole of the skin of the body in one go and moves on. How can it detach from it? We have that knowledge. But we go to the bathroom and we take a shower and we drop all the skin off, or it drops off our body. So if it's there, it's in the rest of the body of the man.
I just need to be able to do it faster.
You got to understand more about the technology and knowledge where your soul sits.
Yes.
We have the knowledge. We have, if you think of it, we become so dismissive. We become so, what's the word for it? I can't remember the word for it. But we speak in a language that our blood cells are changed every 28 days. Our cells, the oldest part of our body, is 9 years old. But how does the body reject these cells and produces a new one? How does the separation happen? Nobody tells us. But if you think of it, it just creates different fields, and different fields create the same replication.
Yes, I have been able to handle some of the pain by communication, sure intention.
What is your pain?
My knees right now.
What for?
Oh, I don't know, maybe abuse over the years, overweight, lack of fluids, just not wanting to move them.
There are ways you can. It's just if it's a muscle tissue or is everything else? It's just that we don't use our body. This is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I
I know there's an
I
infection.
was, pardon?
I know there is an infection in it, and I've been using vitamin C to help alleviate that.
If it's an infection or inflammation, there are two different things.
I'm pretty sure it's an infection if vitamin C is getting rid of the pain to some.
Why don't you go to the doctor and see what it is first?
Okay.
Okay, gotta find out what it is before you do anything.
Mhm.
If you look, it happened to, you know, we get so busy with life, we forget the things we do. When we were taking the videos of the exhibition center, in one of the videos, I watched myself. I thought, oh my God, I'm dragging myself. Because, you know, you just get involved so much. And then I found out I can't even walk 200 meters. And I set out to change. And gradually doing different things in past few months, I brought the change. Because you forget, I think some of these things is the best thing is to, when you take care with the new models, with the telephones, you watch your video yourself, say what has changed, why I cannot do. Even putting a shoe for me was a difficult thing to do. But
No.
you get used to it. You say you're getting old, but I have turned it around. A few days ago, I went, because it was beyond imagination, a few days ago, I went for a 3 hours walk. And in a, I can say 50 level gradient, very upper still hill, not all in one go, but I changed the condition. I was walking a few weeks ago with the knowledge seekers up some stairs, and I said to another knowledge seeker, look, they're younger than me, but they cannot come up the hill. They were out of breath. It's just, we got to start looking after ourselves. And we gradually let go. I used to do, when I used to be in Africa, I used to go every morning, 4 o'clock, for a walk. And my securities and bodyguards used to walk around with me 4 o'clock on the beach. They used to call me the crazy white man. And I used to walk till 5 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, 5 hours, and come back and I start work. But we get absorbed, involved, and all sorts of things, and you forget about your own health. But now you can do, I can do. Putting a socks for me was a problem. Watching up of the body was, I have all the technology, but it gets so much involved, you just accept it with age, but you don't. And you find that you need to do some. You need to do some exercises or put the body in, and then gradually changes. And it just all came because of you see yourself where you're failing. It doesn't matter. The truth is, I was explaining to a knowledge seekers very recently. We help many people with a lot of diseases. And after a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, they die. But they live a quality life, and they usually, in the last 14 days, they die. So I always explain, the soul has agreed the date of departure. Why do you have to suffer to get to that departure?
Yes. Thank you very much.
The time of our life to leave this physical condition to the soul is predetermined, because the other souls have to do something with it that affects somebody to do another cycle. So you got two choices. You can sit there and suffer, or you find out where the problem is and you do something with it. It's like when you have so much on top of you, you don't do. It's like a hay fever. For years I suffered, and it took me 1 minute to change it, because I've decided I want that change. I want to live that. It's all of us, we are mostly over 40, 50s, or what I call the group of knowledge seekers which are here. We don't need to accept that we are old. We just need to enjoy life to the point that the end will come. Eventually it'll come. My cycle, I said, is finished. I've been here long enough. And now I established it's the last time I stay. So it's the time and duration. You can go with a lot of pain and suffering, or you accept it, or you live a totally new life, new style, and you see where you got wrong, where it's short. I fly up the stairs, I walk up the stairs, where before the shortest route was to get a lift. I start changing because I want that change. As I said, sooner or later you will know I found peace, I found happiness, and I enjoy that piece of happiness. I haven't had a piece of happiness for nearly 30 years. Continuous turmoil that it doesn't let you be at peace. Most of you have seen it on the internet. What you see has been going on the internet. I had it for 30 years, every day in, day out. Now I'm detached from it and I start living a gorgeous life. I enjoy teaching, I enjoy everything else, and it's a cycle which is complete. You have to look after yourself. You have to see where it is wrong, how you can extend the changes. For me to sit, to get up, it became part of, because I was so involved in getting old. But you don't get old, you just change it and you move on. We all die. There is no one. The only one who's lasted all this time is the Creator. And I think he has got even fed up. Now he's changing his clothes.
Sounds like a wonderful future for us all.
We just got to learn from it. Find a way why you cannot do things. And the reason you cannot, why we drag our foot, why can't we bend? I've had a shoulder pain, arm pain for nearly 30 years. And it's taken me 2 months and it's gone. Raising arm for me was difficult. I mean, you see me walking around doing things, but with a lot of limitations, all those limitations have gone because I decided to bring the change. The conditions for it are not there the way it's been brought in to be kept. Because when we are young, we do things. When I was about 25, 28, I used to spend at least 5 to 10 hours a week in the sports yards. Be it badminton, being a squash, be it football, be it bowling, be it walking, going hiking, always was there to do. And then you get involved in the matters of life and you forget or gradually accept this is how it should be. And sometimes you get to the point, you got to change. There is something, you accept it the way it is, or you go. And we can change it. All of us can change it. I can go for 3-4 hours of walk up the hills. Where we live in Austria is all hills. You flat places are historical if you walk by the Danube. You go down, you have to come up. And you have to be healthy to come up. I used to refuse to go out of the hill, but now I come back, I go down the hill. It's a pleasure to be. And as I said, I have found a gorgeous life, peaceful life. I don't have the turmoils. It's beautiful that some of you or most of you have seen what's going on the internet day in, day out. This is how my life has been for 30 years. Everyday turmoil. Man-made turmoil to keep you occupied. I don't have that now. I'm occupied with teaching and living a beautiful life, a peaceful life. When you're peaceful, you can do a lot. And you have seen evolutions and rapid changes in Keshe Foundation. Don't look if you've got a knee problem, find out what it is. I wrote to one of the beautiful knowledge seekers, a close friend of the foundation. She had a hip replacement a couple of years ago. She did everything. We tried to do, she's so active, she wouldn't sit down. She would not sit down. I did everything for her. She recovered and then she started running halfway around the world. And she had to do a hip replacement last year. It got that. She sent me the pictures of the cut of her hip. She says, look, this is what has happened. And that's why I said, because you wouldn't sit down. She says, now I can do. I wrote to her today that, okay, now you had your hip for 2 years nearly. Now you have to start looking after yourself with this hip. Go to the doctor and find out what's the composition of your hip replacement. And then do a blood test every 2 years, do a urine test every 2 years to see that the composition of the materials of the hip are not in your blood. And at the same time, because when you do hip replacement, you do not release proteins from your bone marrow in a combination which was supposed to be, ask your doctors to keep an eye on your fatty liver, fatty heart, and fatty kidney, because then they kill you 7 years later. The biggest killer of the hip replacement is a fatty heart and fatty liver, because doctors have not realized. We have not gone to the step. We use a pig, what do you call it, valves for our heart. If we could find an animal to use his hip in a position of the hippoman or can grow that, then the hip replacement will come with no side effect. With the people who carry the hip replacement, in majority of the cases, you sign yourself a death sentence. You are given so many years. If you do a PICC valve with your heart, you're given 10 to 15 years life, because it cannot be replaced again. It's that sentence you are given, you cannot do. And the change in the heart valve, the change in the speed of the heartbeat, the change in the speed of the pressure of the magnetic field within the heart, which goes through the valve, as it cannot support any further, leads to the changes, and most of the people with a heart change end up with the liver cancer or a stomach cancer. And then the doctor says, you got the cancer, you die from the liver or stomach. But if you look at it, within 15 years, goes back to change of the valve, because you change the magnetic field of it. Now we understand. And the hip replacement is the same. You're sentenced. But you have to find out. How many of you can go and walk for 3-4 hours? Not on the flat ground, go on up and down the hill and see how much your heart takes. But you can't do it in one day the first time. You've got to be over 50.
Yes, I'm over 50 and I can't do it right now.
Yeah.
I can
There are
walk
programs
for hours on end, and you
up the hill,
said I
down
was
the
the
hill.
old man that came over from Argentina, but I don't feel old at all. I'm 72 years young.
Yep, I've seen it in Brazil. But this is how it is. We got to change things ourselves. And you don't need to do it with gases. Gases can do some of it, but you create the other parts of it to go. How many of you have got used to adding gases to your drink and your food on a regular basis?
You mean
Oh.
Gans water? That's the
Yes.
only water I have in my home.
Yes, but I said you're the only one because you've gone that way. But how many of you use a gas water combination of gas water, not just one? Gas water is not just CO2 and zinc. When we talk gas water as cup of life that is used continuously in your washing, in your cooking, in everything else.
I fill up my water kettle with it in the morning, and then everybody, the dog and the husband and myself, we use it in whatever goes in the coffee. For my husband, he gets it, so we take it on a regular basis.
And knowledge, not that one of our friends who's got a cup of sugar, and actually, not, I mean, it's a cup of life. She got ill a few days ago, but she took this cup for the dog. And she was saying, me and the dog, we drink from the same cup. That's how the changes come. When we don't do a difference between us, the wife, the husband, the cat, the dog, and the plant.
I've only got to open the Gans jar in the kitchen and one of my cats comes flying across the countertop.
You're lucky, Yvonne. Mine take all my little vials of Gans and then knock them down on the floor in the middle of the night and play with them. They know.
The other one isn't interested. One is, one isn't.
They both do it. But then if I put ordinary water in their water dish, they won't drink it. They'll only drink cup one water.
Because it touches their soul.
And since they've been doing that, I've never seen a cat. And I go to bed, I say, okay, cat's bedtime. And they're in bed with me 2 minutes later. Cats aren't like that normally.
Yes, I use the cup one for coffee, sometimes making pasta, taking the bath, just drinking it in the water bottle. So different, not any regular format or anything with it.
I have a Gans bath every week. A gallon, a cup one.
Yeah, but you need the composition of all the gases.
When you say all, you work with several thousand Ganses. When you say all the Ganses, you're talking the basic ones you've taught
I
us?
was looking, yeah, I don't use it that way. I use only gases when I need them. But I was looking at in the lab, I think we have about a couple of hundred different. We can make rough estimate few million different composition of the gases at the moment in the Keshe Foundation laboratory. We have tables, top and bottom, full of gases. Different gases, different combination, everything possible, imaginable. We have adventurous gas production guys. But in the lab, we walk around with it. Our lab is literally saturated with it. We were testing the, what do you call, one of the new products. I said, we can't test it here. We go outside. Even when we go outside, we go about 20, 30 meters away to see the actual reading of what it should be, that when we come in the lab, what we see, what we have. Because in the lab, we can't measure, it's full.
So
You
then
should imagine that garlic gives you a very strong GANS. As it's very pungent in smell, perhaps it also is in strength.
If you mix ganses with garlic and normal pepper and ginger, you will see what you get.
Is there a specific ratio to that, or a ratio of all the same for the ingredients?
No, I have no ratio. Goes by the will of God.
So a pinch of this, a spoon of this.
Yeah. You know, you remember Mary Poppins?
You're going back a few years, yes.
So become Mary Poppins.
Okay.
You'll have your
Thank you.
chitty bang bang.
Yep.
So fine.
So
If
garlic
you
and
put
pepper
anything,
and ginger.
you can put anything. You have cinnamon, you have, if you get all the herbs used by all the nations, is for a specific infection or pest, or how to call it, as a herbicide or pesticide or whatever. And if you can make a combination of the most of the herbs of the world into ganses, you get everything you need for everything. The only thing you cannot create is hormones. And that's a specific way to create hormones through ganses. And one day I'll teach it.
But you do have them in the urine, don't you?
What do you mean?
The hormones, you're continually renewing them. And as you said, if you drink your urine, you're feeding yourself with the best fodder
Yeah, but you,
can
sorry,
use.
I cannot feed urine to the brain or
Fine.
create the hormones which are created in the brain.
Uh-huh.
Producing a hormone is an art, and one day I'll teach it.
So are you suggesting making individual ganses and then mix them, or can you put everything,
Nah, it won't work that way.
you put everything together and then make a gans of that and use it that way?
Wish you good luck. It is a lot of new understanding. It'll come as part of the teaching. Gradually we explain.
That's why
Perhaps we
I,
need a cookery of GANs class.
Encyclopedia of gas class.
That would be better.
That's why I like to leave all the different plants growing around and not pull up any weeds or anything, because I thought you'd have a better sort of orchestra of fields in the environment. And of course, you're not killing anything that way either. It may be a little unsightly, but I was tending towards having a wider variety of fields in the area, thinking along that line.
You have the best hormone producing machine in the world in you. You gotta go and see how does it do it. And try to understand it, and if you can replicate it, then you've done it. Most of your hormones come from a point less than a pinch of a salt, or it's called a grain of salt. How does it happen? And it does it in gallons of it. If you look at it every year, all these hormones your body uses. Or does it by transmutation of the fields without actually leaving?
You were talking about the fields from the soul interacting with the glands in that manner? Is that what you're referring to? To get the soul
Yes,
to
but you
trigger
have
the
to
glands?
understand how the glands work, what are they made of. It's a system, it's a process.
May I ask a question?
From whom? They're all knowledge seekers here.
Yes, this is Misty. I'm from Michigan. And I had bought the pain pad and the new pain pad. And can you hear me okay?
Yep. Have you received them?
Yes. And I use them on my father's shoulders that are needing replacing, and he's trying to hold off as long as possible. And the pain's gone and has been for a week now. And he was having terrible cramps in his legs. And I put them at the end of the bed. And he slept like that with the pain pen pointing out and the pad under his feet. And I'm wondering how long can that stay there? And he hasn't had any cramps, so should I remove it?
What they say in English? If it's not broken, why do you
Don't
mend
fix
it?
it.
Don't fix it.
Okay,
If it
because
works, keep
I
it.
will, right? If it works, he hasn't complained, so I thought about removing it and then giving him a few nights to see if he even notices.
It's just that the new paint pens are very special paint pens. It costs us more than before, but it's a technology development. We put it out. They're magic. They're literally magic for anything. It cannot
worth
be.
everything.
It's the new one you bought, is it?
Yes, I made sure I
The
bought
new-
it. Dennis.
The new paint pens, yeah. These are edge of science technology. We keep the packaging the same, but the technology inside them is totally different. And they're very powerful, extremely powerful.
Well, he's very impressed. He says he's looking more into it now. And I wanted to make sure that those could be shared. No.
One of the ways, if you want to keep the pain away, try to get like a glass of water. Did you buy one pen or two pens?
I bought one pen and one pad. That was
Yeah.
prior to you mentioning that last time.
Yeah,
And
if you, for example, get the 2 pens and or the one you have, the pen 2 works better because you need the what do you call it, a diversity of fields. You put the pen in a glass of water. It's just we hope that the tip glue doesn't open up, and rub his shoulder with that water.
thank you. And one more
Or his
question.
feet. Yeah.
His wife has cancer and has had radiation and one treatment of chemo. I didn't know how near it should be to her, or if at all it shouldn't be shared, correct?
Pardon? Can you repeat?
His wife has cancer and she has received treatment, radiation and chemo. And I didn't know if there would be a transfer of energies from her to within the, if I shared that pain pad, which
Don't share pain
don't
pad,
share.
please.
Okay, all right. I haven't.
Especially pain
taken until
pen.
I confirm.
Pain pen and pain pads do not share.
Okay, thank you for confirming that, and I'll try that water. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
This
so
is-
If you,
Go ahead.
pardon,
No, sorry.
if you are using the water, you can use the water for his wife, but not the pen itself.
Could you repeat that one more time?
If you put, the problem is that these pens, if you look at the pens, these pens took us a lot of time to produce, and then we had to reproduce them. Because if you look, the tip is different than the rest of it. And these tips are, in a way, glued, especially with a special, what do you call it, fields and what do you call it, material. Because if you put anything in it, they could leak. If you put this pen in a normal water, hopefully the tip will not leak, will not separate being in the water too long. You can use that water for his wife. But it's advisable to just, what do you call, don't share, especially if you have a cancer case, do not share.
Can you put the pen in a plastic bag inside the water?
That's what I was going to suggest.
You could do, but then you have a barrier field because that plastic creates a new filtering.
I see. That was a thought.
Yeah.
Long enough to set an intention and pull it out.
But you see what you can do with it. It can be done. It's just we have just that tip. When we paid for it 5, 7 years, 6 years ago, just to make that tip, I think we had to pay 17 or 21,000 euro for it, just to make the mold for that tip to be able to do this. The blue pen itself, each one costs to us, just the blue material is 11 euro. Just a plastic.
Mr. Cash, sorry, hi, it's Kay
Yeah.
from London. I think you got to give these stuff to China to be just the shell. I think Chinese products will be, just as good, but very, very cheap. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that. Europe, they charge an arm and a leg for everything.
This is a special plastic. Is done in a special way that it gives the fields we want, and is produced only by one company in England.
Wow.
Everything we do, we research to what we need. It's not a cheap Chinese pen. This material of the blue pen, you say the paint pen, only can be produced in one factory and it's 21,000 batches done at a time. Every time we do is 21,000 batches. And each one costs us, raw cost is 11 euro.
So
Very
you
high
do,
price
you
tag.
do the math.
Yeah. Forget about the ganses producing the ganses and everything else on top.
Now, Lissy, Geraldo has a question, Mr. Cash, she wrote in the chat, but if you'd like to open your microphone, Lissy.
Okay, but do you remember my English is not perfect?
I'll read,
the first
I'll read the
times-
question for you, and then you can see if I have.
Okay,
correct.
he said, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, thank you.
No, leave your mic open. You said that we should wash head, eyes, face with CO2 and amino acid water. It is to increase more hormones that constitute the divine soul or increase our divine soul.
I don't understand.
She's asking if you had recommended we should wash head, eyes, face, maybe the back of the head with the CO2 with amino acids in the water. Is that to increase? the
When you
flow
do
of
that,
hormones?
you increase the connections between the cells of the brain. That's the only purpose.
Okay. Okay. He said then,
CO2, the carbon is a connector. That's the reason.
okay, because you said in last week, I said maybe it's special because last week you talk about the hormones and souls. Okay, thank you so much.
So, Mr. Cash, sorry, does it mean that because of these connections that it makes the brain cells to connect, does it mean you become sharper?
Oh, you become you become more lovely. You become more happy. Everything gets connected.
But not the elusive hormones.
You have to understand how hormones work. You have to understand how hormones are created. I explained it very softly, not last week, the week before teaching, but knowledge seekers have not grasped the whole understanding of the teaching.
It's been a lovely afternoon with you again, Mr. Kesh, and I know it's probably 12 past midnight where you are. I'm sure we could go all night.
Hopefully,
Not that I want to end the meeting, but
yeah, no problem. Thank you very much. I'm going. Hopefully this week we'll see you on a Thursday at 7 o'clock. And maybe next Sunday we'll meet you or we'll join you maybe from another point on this planet. Thank you very much.
Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.